So last week, as I'm sure most people are aware, Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, was out and about across America. He ends up in a car accident. He was not hurt in the car accident, but it's because he was in the car accident that we learned that Ron DeSantis has been using taxpayer-funded vehicles provided by people like me who pay taxes here in Florida. These vehicles are meant to be used in the state for official state business, but apparently Ron DeSantis has been driving them all over the country while he campaigns for president. And the reason we wouldn't have known about that had it not been for this little fender bender that he got into is because the idiot Republicans who control our state legislature passed legislation a few months ago that actually shields the governor's travel from public records. Now, prior to that, Florida had one of the biggest and best open records laws in the country, which for the record is actually why you get all those Florida man stories, because we're totally open. All arrest records, everything out there in the open, including the travel, the business, and the communications of our elected leaders. And Republicans in this state said, you know what? Let's make it legal for our little wannabe authoritarian Florida dictator Ron DeSantis to hide his records from the public, right? You never know when it may come in handy. Turns out it has been very handy for Ron DeSantis because he has been using state vehicles that, again, are only reserved for official state business. He has been taking them out of the state of Florida to use for campaigning for president. And we wouldn't have known it had it not been for the fender bender. But now we do. So what do? I don't know. Because Florida law is a little iffy on this, Not necessarily illegal, but it's not necessarily allowed either. But there doesn't appear, based on what I've seen, to be any kind of remedy if somebody violates that. So it's kind of a rule like, hey, you can't do this, but the punishment for breaking the rule is nothing. So it's a rule with no enforcement, with no punishment. So even if you break the rule, there's nothing that can happen. But this is why we had those open records laws. Hopefully the Democratic Party here in the state of Florida, which earlier this year got some wonderful new leadership in the form of Nikki Fried, hopefully they jump on this. Hopefully they start putting this out there in ads. And of course, they include the fact that these idiot little minions that the Republicans have in the Florida state legislature allowed him to do this, because this is something the taxpayers in this state need to be aware of. He is abusing the trust. He is abusing the privileges. He's wasting our tax dollars on his failing presidential campaign. And the Republicans in the legislature knew this was happening and tried to hide it from all of us. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.